Here's another one. Bill, in the 70s, they were driving leaded gasoline. Remember? The difference may come from the lack of lead. Cars perform better on leaded gas. I appreciate that it's true that we are being manipulated by corporate America. So, well, then pick a side. I understand. Actually, I don't understand the difference between leaded and unleaded gasoline. I don't understand the difference of that. Okay? I guess that performed better, but unleaded was better for the environment. Okay? Scientifically, I can't explain why that is. But I'm also not a moron. And I understand, and I've read enough on corporations, and I understand how they work. That's all about the bottom line. And every quarter, they have to show a profit or it's considered a failure. They can't even show the same profit. They can't even be like, we made $6 billion last quarter, and we made $6 billion this quarter. That's considered a failure. They have to go up to $7 billion. Now, at some point, you're going to exhaust all ethical ways of making money, and you're going to start delving into the world of fucking evil, which is, I think that they're up to their heads in it. I don't buy it. Anyways, Bill, love the podcast. This is such a great way to start. The reason the U.S. Camry gets 26 miles per gallon and the Pakistani version gets 39 is simple. Wait. It's simple. It's simple. Controlling the world's energy is a simple thing. The U.S. version has airbags, crumple zones, roll cages. A roll cage? It doesn't have a fucking roll cage, you moron. It might be structurally more sound. It does have a roll cage and the fucking doors are welded, which adds 650 pounds to the weight of the car. Imagine the mileage you would get in your Prius with those fat twins. But you're an idiot. You're not an idiot. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I refuse to believe that. Okay? You're just like me. You're a fucking regular person. You went up, you looked at some stats to try and support your fucking argument, just like I'm doing. But I'm sticking by this one. I know I'm fucking right on this one. I remember one time I had this old piece of shit truck, right, that I drove for like 10 years because I knew I wanted to be a comedian and I didn't want to go into debt. So when the engine finally died, I threw a new engine in there. And the guy told me he needed to rebuild the carburetor. I'm like, you don't need to rebuild the carburetor. He fucking adjusted the carburetor so I would just get shitty gas mileage, hoping I would be an absolute fucking moron and then drive back and be like, well, I guess you're right. I'm just chowing through gas here. That's what this motherfucker did at his little garage. This little piece of shit did that because it wasn't enough that he fucking made $1,600 fucking bucks off me. He wanted to make like fucking $1,900 bucks. So he did that just as a fucking individual. And you're going to try and tell me that a corporation that basically controls the world's fucking energy is not going to buy up patents by people that are coming up with carburetors and stuff, like carburetors, but coming up with alternate ways of powering a car more efficiently. They're not going to buy that up. Dude, they had that whole Stanley Meyer thing. And that's not a conspiracy theory either. We actually played the news clip on the Opie and Anthony show. Stanley Meyer, great news for individuals, but bad news for oil companies. Claims he's come up with an engine that can run on any type of water. Fresh water, salt water, rainwater, doesn't make a difference. And he claims he can drive across the country on 28 gallons of water. This is of such interest, the Pentagon is sending a lieutenant colonel out there. That was the actual news clip from the Opie and Anthony show. It was an actual news clip. It's not some bullshit I read on a fucking website. Okay? Now, what happened after that, nobody knows. But basically, within 10 years, Stanley was dead and his car disappeared. And his brother right now is trying to get the car back and nobody knows where the fuck it is. All right? I truly believe that the quickest death sentence you could possibly have is to go on the news and claim that you've come out with an alternate source of energy that's going to put a corporation out of business that is projected to make $350 billion next year. How much do you think your life is worth? And if you have $350 billion, how easy is it, do you think, to get somebody to solve this problem? You can't have people getting free energy, all right? Because they're not going to work. If every time the fucking wind blows, I can watch another fucking 8 hours of TV, you know? Am I going to be putting in for overtime? Am I going to be working like a dog like these other goddamn people? You know? If every time it rains, I got enough fucking water to fucking drive all the way to goddamn Kansas City. I got enough water to drive to Kansas City and back. Do you think that they can have that? I'm telling you, if it rained oil, let's just flip this for a second. If it rained oil and it was a lubricant, but somehow it made the trees grow, I guarantee you whatever powered the cars would not be oil. Gas and oil, I guarantee you it wouldn't. It would be something else. They have to make it, they have to keep you away from it. Am I out of my fucking, I probably am out of my mind. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe any of it. And I think anybody out there who's tried to climb any sort of like ladder of power, you haven't noticed that the higher up you went, the more compromised, the more you had to compromise what you wanted. My business is no different. It's no fucking different. The higher up you get, the more is at stake, the more money is at stake, the more the art gets compromised. Look at this shit. I can say whatever the fuck I want on this goddamn podcast. There's nothing at stake. I don't make any fucking money off of this shit. All right? But if all of a sudden I started getting advertising on this thing, right? Like a severe level of advertising to the point, let's say I was actually able to make $1 million a year off of this shit. And all of a sudden I'm going off on Jesus and that type of shit. And then all of a sudden some fucking advertiser goes, hey, we're going to pull the spots here. And your money is going to drop back down to nothing or whatever. Drop down to like $100,000 a year. You're telling me in my head I'm not going to start thinking like, well, maybe I won't say what I think about religion. Okay, that's just $1 million. Forget about $350 billion. And some douchebag on Long Island comes up with a fucking car that can run on water. You know, and that guy wasn't evidently willing to sell his fucking invention. I got to tell you this, people. If you're out there and you're working on an engine that can work on, somehow is powered by water, don't go to the news with it. All right? I don't know how to get it out there, but I'm telling you, if you were able to come up with something like that, and let's say on the sly you started building them, all right? There's no way to keep it a secret. And when the oil companies found out that you had it, there would be like Men in Black type vans pulling up to your fucking warehouse, okay? And they would be smiling, but they'd have that look where they're looking right through the back of your head. And at first they'd try to pay you off and buy the fucking patent. And if you didn't sell it to them, they would move to the next phase. And you would somehow mysterious, like the urban myth with that guy, Stanley Meyer, was basically, he was in a diner. He stood up, said, my God, they've poisoned me. He walked out in the parking lot and dropped dead. Shortly thereafter, his card with the invention in it disappeared. And now his brother's trying to find out what happened to him, which he never will. This is probably one of the craziest podcasts I've ever done. Am I freaking you guys out? Good. All right. Painters are coming here soon. Let's see if I got time for